Sir.
Okay, great.
Yes, sir.
Good. Very good.
Yes, sir.
Okay. Thank you very much. Let's wait for a couple of minutes and then we start because people are still coming in. Thank you, Yugma. Thank you, Meet. Okay. So from now onwards, what we do is I give a timeline that within 3 to 4 minutes, I think 3 to 4 minutes is too much time. Whatever time is given, it's 12, 1, 11. Within 5 minutes, if you all can join, that would be great. Not 5 minutes, it's too much. It's less than 2 minutes. If you can join, that would be really helpful. And then I will lock the meeting. So I will not allow anybody to enter to the meeting, okay? Because then it creates disturbances. Hope you can understand what I'm trying to say. Okay. So far, we have been able to discuss some of the literary terms with some examples, and I have been getting responses from you that if you can go slower, it would be much helpful. So from today onwards, I'll reduce my speed of speaking, but make sure that you raise doubts, seek clarifications if you don't understand them, the terms that we discuss. Okay. Now, these literary terms, looking at your school syllabus in your English as a first language or even second language, you have come across, and therefore I'm taking this in a speed. It's like a speed dating for that reason. But yes, I got your point that some of you are not able to cope with the speed, and therefore I will be talking a bit slower. And that's not an issue for me. Thank you very much for your all comments and suggestions that you have been giving me on my WhatsApp. And I really appreciate that you are trying to figure out how to learn better and how can I be more useful to make things meaningful in your studies. Remember, I'm here for you, and I think that if we together can make a difference, I think your inputs and my inputs can go a long way, right? So let's look at the first term that we are going to learn and we are going to encounter in multiple literary genres. Dramatic monologue. It can be a poem, it cannot be a poem, but it is considered as a poetic form where prose can also be written in the poetic forms, like poetic prose or prosaic, if you know the term. So it's a fictional narrator who addresses someone whose identity the audience knows, but who does not say anything. It's like our Zoom classes. You may think me, because you have not seen me personally, you just see my face and I'm narrating things, and you are not seen as well because you have kept your videos off due to some technical reasons, and I understand. But then whatever one person is speaking to an audience, and the audience does not respond, that's a dramatic monologue. And you might have encountered multiple monologues on films during your reading, that only one person is trying to say something and he expresses his emotion, and he is addressing someone whose identity audience knows. Like if I'm trying to say something about a character and I'm talking to that character, which you know whom I'm talking to, then the entire talk which I'm delivering will be considered as a dramatic monologue. And the fictional character, my imaginary character, will not speak anything back to me, right? So whatever I speak, it's one-way communication, and that's why it's monologue. Mono means one, single. Log means to talk, right? So that is dramatic monologue. Mayank Saxena, our own student from second year or third year, has beautifully delivered a dramatic monologue on YouTube. And if you search, you will find the way he does this monologue. And it was his assignment in theater group, which I think he joined. And they have to submit 100 monologues in 100 days. So you can search Mayank Saxena and you will find that he delivers a wonderful dramatic monologue. The next is Elegy. Elegy is a poem written in memory of a dead one. Somebody has written something. Sir, can you describe the meaning of monologue again? Yes, Princey. Mono means single. It's like one, just one. Mono means one. Like when I'm doing a mono, means I'm one person talking to nobody either, or a fictional character. Single person speaking is mono, and log means to have a chat or a dialogue, have a conversation with somebody. Nobody is seen in front of, and that's where a monologue can be defined. One person speaking to a fictional character where fictional character is absent. Okay, hope it helps. So Elegy is a poem mourning the dead. Like there are many poems written on the death anniversary. Like there are poems written on Gandhi, and those poems can be considered an elegy on the death of somebody. So in this kind of poem, the poet expresses his sadness, his sorrow on the loss of somebody, and he mourns. And normally it happens that the poet remembers the values, the ideas given by the person in memory of the poem written in the memory of a person. So Alfred Tennyson's elegies are considered one of the good ones in the English literature. Next is end rhyme. Like you have rhyming schemes. So the words that rhyme at the end, they are called end rhyme. What we typically think of as the normal rhyme, at the end, at the end of a verse, where you have, let's say, say and wait. So the word say will come at the end, and the word day will come at the end, and pay would come at the end of the verse. So those words, say, pay, day, may, at the end, if they come, they can be called end rhyme. The next is epic. You know what epics are: Mahabharata, Ramayana, the Greek epics such as Odyssey. Then you have the epic on Paradise Lost and Paradise Regained in English literature. So epics are long poems. They narrate the adventures of a heroic figure or heroic figures. Homer's Odyssey is considered to be one of the best epics ever written in Greek literature, and its translation available in English is also considered to be the best one. In English, in Gujarati, unfortunately, I don't remember any epics written so far. And if you remember, or if you find out any epics written in Gujarati, please do let me know. So epics talk about the adventures of a hero. So if it is Ramayana, it is the adventures of Rama. If Mahabharata is an epic, then it is an adventure of Kauravas and Pandavas. So basically, the protagonists and his adventures play an important role in epics. So when poets write epics, Savitri is an Indian epic written by Sri Aurobindo. That's one in English and very interesting, which you may study in second year, a portion of it, or maybe in masters sometime later in your literary studies. And it does not have just one single plot, because it's kind of adventure. The hero is trying to attain something in his life, and therefore there may be subplots and sub-stories, folk tales, myths, legends. There are multiple things happening in an epic, and therefore it is considered to be one of the most longest poems that poets write. So in Paradise Lost, you have a heroic figure named Adam, and his adventures have been depicted. In Ramayana, in Mahabharata, you have already. In Savitri, it is the female character who is considered to be playing a central role. And there is a male character, but the way Aurobindo has written is entirely interesting, because so far no epic has been written with that point of view. Okay, so euphemism. It's a polite word or phrase used in a place that one may be too direct or unpleasant or embracing. Now you can see the example. The definition of the word is something bad sound good, the old man passed away. Now passed away is that word which we use instead of the old man died. So instead of using die, we use the word pass away. Now, euphemism also can be a very interesting way to talk about, like if you can see examples. The second example is vertically challenged. So it's vertically challenged means the person is shocked. So instead of saying that he is shocked, you can use the word he is vertically shocked. Like physically disabled is, can it be considered a euphemism? That's a very interesting way to look at. Then tutored, that's farted. Let go, he let go him, that means he's fired. So pre-owned, this is again a very interesting usage in the contemporary consumeristic times, when you said instead of using the word used or second-hand, you use pre-owned, right? So euphemism talks differently, and it hides the embarrassing or unpleasant meaning which the authors, the writers try to hide. It may be too direct to get the meaning, or because it's too direct, we don't use that. So there are writers who would use euphemistic style of writing. And when we say euphemistic style of writing, they try to make things sound good instead of being too direct or unpleasant or maybe embarrassing. Okay. The next one is fable. It's a story that illustrates a moral where you learn something at the end of the story, and often it uses animals as their characters. The tortoise and the hare, you have heard this story 100 times or even more than that. So the stories where fables, where animals are used, are called fables, and it gives you moral at the end of the story. And now fables can change. Now You might have heard this story, Tortoise and the Hare, where at the end, Tortoise wins, and we have a kind of slogan, slow and steady wins. Now, if you know the latest version of the story, please do let me know, and I would like to hear it from you. If anybody knows what is the latest in this story, fable, I would be very happy to listen to that. Tortoise wins the race in the original fable, but the contemporary story says it differently. It's the hare who wins the story, wins the race. And there is another version where tortoise and hare, they don't compete with each other. Instead, they both win the race. So there are different ways of using animals. The whole story, the whole collection of this Panchatantra can be considered a group of a collection of fables where animals have been used to talk about the morals. It is generally not authored by anybody, but are invented to teach the students the moral and ethical values. Had it been successful, we would not have the moral and ethical crisis in the society. So people take it as a story, as an entertainment, and nothing else. They reinvent the way the stories have been narrated. Now, figurative language, the language that does not mean exactly what it says. Now, you can go back to the message that I gave you on WhatsApp, and it's the example, a very good example of what I did not mean to say. I meant to say that please don't do highs and hellos. This is not the place to do that. And instead, everybody jumped in to do that. So in order to understand figurative language, you have to understand and interpret it differently. So you have to read between the lines. One, we have literal meaning, and the second, we have figurative meaning. And then the third meaning is suggestive meaning. So you have to find the layers of meaning while you read something. It's not always denotations. We already learned connotations in previous sessions. So what we aim to understand in literature is to try to understand what does the language means when we try to read between the lines. What it does not mean exactly what it says. And you will hear it 100 times that this is not what it means something else. So sometimes rhetorics also come into play. For example, you can call somebody who is very angry, steaming. Yeah. So he's fuming. That means he's angry. I'm cross. So it's not that cross. It's I'm angry. So the words do not always suggest, do not always give the literal meaning. You have to find out what does it actually means. What is the figure behind it? What is the suggestions behind it? So steaming, it's you don't you don't have steams coming out of your ears, noses, but it's that figure which allows us to interpret the sentence differently. I'm fuming. I'm cross with you. Right? So the figurative language means what it does not say. Right? The next is very important. Wherever you read literature, wherever you try to understand and analyze literature, you have to understand the point of view. Right? So the first person point of view is always about the writer writing himself as I. The writer may be a narrator or maybe a character in the fiction, in the story, in the novel. So you might read something like that. I went to his house at midnight. It was shivering cold. I could sense the darkness on the road. I can feel the fear of the atmosphere. My legs were cluttering. My bones were making noise. So you can understand that I'm using lots of I. And this is my point of view, right? So whenever you read in writing, it is a first person point of view. So the character himself speaks to the reader, and it has its advantages and disadvantages. We'll talk about it when we talk of Guide, we'll talk of Omkara and Othello, and then we will also talk this point of view in terms of one act play where Anton Chekhov is making things happen. Okay, then free verse, no set of meter, no rhyme. It's just the way you write. It's an easy way to write poetry, right? There is no need to set your words in limit. For example, haiku has 17 characters. So if you want to write anything that comes to your mind, there is no limit on your writing. You can write in the way you like. If you are bound with, let's say, a rhyming scheme, it should be sonnet, then you are bound. Okay, when you write sonnet, it should be Shakespearean sonnet, then you are not writing free verse. In Shakespearean sonnet, the rhyming scheme is specific. The lines and the meters are specific. So whenever you don't follow any writing pattern in poetry, it's called free verse. The number of words in a line can range from 2 words to 17 words or to 18, or the number of words you can quote in your writing. So there are writers who would write, and we'll see how free verse can help prose writers as well to make poetical writings. Foreshadowing, it's a technique in which author gives clues about what something will happen in the story. So a writer will give an indication that what is going to come next in the plot or subplot, or what is going to occur. So you get a hint when you try to say, when I started this session, I said that from next class, I will not allow anybody entering after, let's say, 12:15, for example. I lock the meeting. So I'm using these as a foreshadowing that in the next session, you might not be permitted. So it's a technique, you can say, in the context of, yes, let's say Mahabharata, there is an Akashwani going on, that Kans, you will be killed by the son of your sister. And this Akashwani is a technique the author is using to make the fear, to get fear in the mind of Kans. And then whatever actions he's taking is due to that foreshadowing that this may happen in the story, and therefore he starts killing Krishna's siblings, right? So these are the ways the author can use to talk about future, and then based on the future prediction, people start reacting, and the plot can reach to its climax and denouement, and the final resolutions can be attained. So foreshadowing is a technique in which an author gives clues about something that will happen in the story in the future. Genre, it's a kind of style of art in literature. So literary genres are mystery, romance, thriller, natives, westerners, and romances. So if you like scientific fiction, it's a genre. If you like autobiographical writings, it's a genre. If you like biographical writings, it's a genre. Even within poetry, if you like, let's say sonnets, all the sonnets that you like, it's a genre, right? Even within the types of poems like sonnets, you have sad poems, you have romantic poems, you have praise poems. So all these are called genres, different ways of style of writing things. Hyperbole, it's an exaggeration. Huge exaggeration. You Gujarati talno pahad karwo it's a minor thing and you want to execute it like it's a huge thing. Like Dan is the funniest guy on the planet. No, Dan may be the small person, maybe not a huge funny character in the surroundings where you live, but you want to make it an exaggeration. And therefore, it is being compared funniest, superlative degree, that he is the most funniest guy in the world. And that's an exaggeration. That baseball card is worth $1 zillion, so it's a priceless. That baseball card might be worthless. You just have to pay a penny, paisa, but you consider it huge and hugely valuable. You want to emphasize the importance of something, and in a maybe a positive or negative way, you use hyperbole. Like this example is very interesting, and you might have seen in couple of advertisement when you have this this advertisement, Snickers. Is it Snickers or which one? It's a chocolate where Mahendra Singh Dhoni becomes something else. Yes, so he becomes something else, and there he acts somebody else. So it's an exaggeration that I'm so hungry that I am not myself. And for this here also one example, I'm so hungry I could eat a horse. This is a vegetarian country and I would not prefer eating a horse. It's a beautiful animal, but still in Western context, in English language context, in English cultures, they use such phrases. I'm hungry that I can eat a whale. I'm so hungry that I can eat all the laddus. So you try to exaggerate more than required, right? Iambic pentameter, I said it last time that Shakespeare is one of the masters of this, and he uses this in his writing a lot. It's a 10 syllables, syllabic lines in which every other syllable is stressed. So it is like your heartbeat. The way your heart beats matches with iambic pentameter. With eyes like stars upon the brave night air. Now, every other syllable, that means with is not stressed, but eyes are stressed. Light is not stressed, stars are stressed. Upon is not stressed, but the brave is stressed. Night is not stressed, but the air is stressed. So these 10 syllables you can count with 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, and 10. There are 2 syllables in stars, in upon, and the brave night. So these way, iambic pentameter plays a very important role in dramatic poetry, in dramatic writing, especially when it comes to Shakespeare. So it resembles the way our heart beats. We'll talk about it later when we talk of Anton Chekhov's writing, though it's not there, but we'll see how iambic pentameter can convert a dramatic conversation more interesting. Okay, it's an idiom is an expression with a meaning different from the literal meaning of the words. Like I got cold feet before my speech. That means I was scared. So again, it's like trying to find out the meaning, the exact meaning, not the literal meaning. and you try to understand what is suggested. So idioms will help you to understand the suggestive meaning. My boss gave me the green light. That means I can go ahead with whatever projects I'm trying to take. Draw the curtains means close the curtains and close the meeting. Let's call it a day. That means that's end of the meeting, end of the day. Put the lights out means turn off the lights, right? So there are certain idioms that you need to understand in order to get the meaning. And there is a very interesting poem. And Amelia Belladia put the lights out. So those things need to be aired out too, just like the pillows and babies. Oh, I do have a lot to learn. Now here, the meanings lights out, here it's to turn off, but the picture says something else. And that's where it becomes a funny expression. Okay, now can you identify? You have less than 7 minutes. Can you identify what kind of literary term you can guess on this? The young bird's white feathered wings flutter as he made his way across the nighttime sky. Anybody, any guesses? You might have heard this. If I click on the right next word, you will find that it is called the imagery. Okay, sorry. Yeah, it is imagery where you see young bird's white feathered wings flutter as he made his way across the nighttime sky. Now, the writer is imagining something and he is using birds and he is trying to make a connection between the person and the bird. And therefore, imagery is a very important part of writing, and it also changes the meaning, the way we read. The smell reminded him of rotting tomatoes. Again, the smell is imaging. Now, when you say imagery, you use all 5 senses. The fence was uneven like baby teeth growing awkwardly in. So it's a simile because you are using like. So fence was uneven. So fence is compared to something else. It is imaging to something else. So when writer is invoking 5 senses that we have, can anybody write in the chat box what are the 5 senses quickly? And I'll see how much we know about our own senses. Quickly, you have a couple of minutes, not more than 2 minutes, okay? So I'll be waiting for you to write at least 5 senses. Okay, good. Somebody has responded. Okay, yes, Kushi, that's right. Kushi, that's right. Srija, that's right. Okay, that's right. Agnil, one more here and one more. Okay, good, good. Okay, yeah, that's right. We got it. Now, those 5 senses can be used in multiple ways to talk of imagination, like we have seen in the example. And we'll move on. Right, Princey, that's right. Garima, that's right. Okay, yes, Garima, that's right. Okay, now we have internal rhyme. Remember, we had end rhyme, and now we have internal rhyme. So the words that end in similar way, like pay, day, may, say, these are all called end rhyming words. But if there is an internal rhyming, a rhyme that occurs within one line, such as, he is king of the swing, right? Who is the king of the swing? Cricket fans. He is the king of the swing. Quickly, there is only one person who is the king of the swing in the world of cricket. Oh my God, not this one, Meet. He's a spinner, not swing. Oh my goodness. Yes, I can understand your laughter. King of the swing in the world is none other than. I got answer. Hey, let's see if somebody has written. Nobody loves cricket. My goodness, it's Wasim Akram. is the king of the swing. Shoaib Akhtar, no, it's Wasim Akram. He knows how to swing the ball and at what pace. Okay, that's very interesting. Internal rhyme, again, because there is a word king and swing, right? So you can sense the internal rhyming by the syllables in both ways. Can anybody give me 2 or 3 examples of internal rhyming in English quickly before we move on?
Master Blaster Batsman.
Yunus, I didn't get me to what you said. Can you come again, please?
Sachin is the Master Blaster Batsman.
Okay, so now you have got internal rhyming in the word master and blaster. Right, okay. Anything else? Okay. Take your time, you can WhatsApp me and I'll look at the answers later on. So the irony is that we know, but we don't remember, right? So we remember, but we don't know how to express. So that's the irony. The language that conveys a certain ideas by just saying the opposite. Literal language, language that exactly mean what it says. So all of you, when you responded to my WhatsApp message, it was you who interpreted it literally. And you said, okay, sir has said to say hi and hellos, and all of you started hi and hellos. So you took literal meaning of that term, of that message. So you have to find out what does it mean. Logos, and appeal to audience's logic. It's not that logo that you see in the bottom right-hand corner of my slide. It's not that logo. Here, logo means logic. When somebody is talking about the common sense and it is rhetoric. We'll talk about when we talk specific examples from the literature. Ethos, yes, Garima, I'm getting your answer. That's very good of you. Ethos, it's an appeal to the audience whose ethics, knowing right from the wrong. And again, it's rhetoric. Now, every character faces this situation in life and in fiction. And if you are in that dilemma, that's called to be or not to be. And this ethical dilemma is always existent in literature. If it is not there, the choice between good and evil, there won't be any conflict in the story, right? So when Rama decides to abandon Sita, he is in the same condition like Hamlet is in that condition.